With marketing, it's like asking everyone on a date, but branding is the reason why you say yes. I always told everyone in the team, let's not focus on instant gratification. So I'm not looking for quick wins. I am anti-quick wins.
I'm a risk taker. As I believe, high risk, high reward, man. Sometimes we say we're the best, but I like to say we just want to be different.
I'm your host, Mina Simone, and you are now locked into the Quitters Never Win show. And I am here with Wonda Mix. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm going to get straight into it and just ask your actual name.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Cool. So my actual name, a lot of people know me as Wonda. And there's a connotation to the business, I guess. So, but everyone knows me as Wonda.
Okay. And why the name Wonda Mix?
Well, it's even though my nickname is Wonda, but the reason why we shortened it is just kind of say wonderful mix. And the mixes come kind of from all the fruits and all the ingredients that we use around the world. So we kind of just said wonderful mixes, but we just said it Wonder Mix just to sound out a bit different, to be fair. So that's a summary of what Wonder Mix is.
Amazing. And what kind of stuff do you sell?
Well, we kind of kickstarted what we sell a few years ago. It's basically it's like basically, in a nutshell, exotic fruits in a drink with our own secret ingredients and just kind of push a brand that's unique, that's never been done before. So some people say smoothie, some people shake. So we just say smoothie shake. But to this day, we actually don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
So hopefully the public can decide what it's called. But it's a beverage. In general, it's a beverage.
It's a beverage,
Yeah,
refreshing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get to know a little bit more about you.
Cool.
You know, your upbringing, where you was born to start with.
Okay. So I was initially born in Yemen, and I grew up in the middle east of, so I grew up in Saudi Arabia and here. So a bit of my childhood was in Saudi Arabia, where the initial inspiration of the business started, and most of my life I've been in the UK. So I could say I'm not British born, but my whole childhood's been in the UK, to be honest, and we've been here most of our life, really.
And what was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood, to be fair, it was quite interesting because at the age that I grew up in Saudi, like the 8-year-old over there is way advanced compared to the 8-year-old here.
Really?
So yeah, so a lot of us were street smart from the age of 5, 6. As soon as you start walking, you're proper clued on. You're around elders. You know, you're having a conversation that's above your height and your age. So my childhood, obviously, we grew up in the poor side of it as well. So I know a lot of people have this taboo understanding of Saudi Arabia being glitz and glam, but there's a lot of places where it's expat and everyone's just poor and everyone's, you know, their monthly salary is probably £100 a month and you're sharing that with, I don't know, 10 people in a family in 2-bedroom house. So we grew up, you know, we were fortunate enough, you know, we grew up in a loving family, but we also grew up in hardship as well, you know, where I used to just have one slippers and once that gets lost in the mosque, I'm barefoot again. So it was hard, but I won't complain because it taught me a lot of life values as a kid, and it also toughened me up as a young man coming to this country. Whereas, you know, I was a bit more resilient than the average age of what a child would be here.
Yeah.
So my childhood was quite interesting. You know, it was rough, but I would never change it for anything in the world because it was also the best time. When you're young, you don't really know what's going on, to be fair. So you're just happy and running around, but it was hard, and you know, when I have conversation now with my mum and all the sacrifices that she's done for me, you know, it made me appreciate everything that I have now as well. So it was an interesting journey, actually.
And do you have like siblings or anything?
Yeah, I've got siblings, I've got brothers and sisters, but I feel like everyone in sibling is not the same. So everyone's got different responsibilities. So I'm kind of relied on in the family, but I'm not the oldest.
Oh.
So maybe it's because of the relationship I have with my mom. Maybe I'm just around her often. So, but yeah, you know, I've been fortunate enough to have siblings as well, and you know, they're amazing. They've been supportive as well.
That's really, really good. So do you come from kind of a big family then?
To be honest, it depends what big is, but it's fairly average family. Like I think 4 siblings.
Okay.
So I don't. Some people find that big actually. So
yeah, it can be.
I'm the quite opposite. I'm like, if you have 10 kids, it's big. But yeah, so it's a tight-knit family, but also we've got a huge branch of cousins, so which felt like they were like our brothers and sisters as well. So there might be like 20 of them in the same household when I was growing up. So we've got a big family though in general.
Okay, and everyone's supportive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say that, yeah.
So when you first moved to the UK, what area was you in?
So to be honest, I've always been around north. So even in Saudi, I used to live in the north of Saudi in Jeddah, and in London, I've always been a North London boy. So all my school, all my education, all my friends growing up, I was from North London. You know, I'm still in North London, to be fair. So most of my childhood has been in North London. Obviously, I've been fortunate enough to have friends and family and network from all over the UK. But where I call home is North London. And I've moved from different areas in North London. So I grew up first. When I came to the country, I couldn't even speak English. I grew up in Tottenham. So I was from Tottenham, then I moved to Green Lanes and then Finsbury Park. So I've always been around North London more or less, but I was just kind of moving about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So where did you first learn English?
Yeah, to be honest, it sounds crazy. The first time I came to the UK was the first time I saw white people.
Really?
And it's crazy because we had TV. So I'm thinking, was I watching TV back in the day? I don't know. But I've learned it here. So the way my mum taught us any form of discipline was more of, okay, I'm going to just put you out in the streets. You know, as crazy as that sound. Because she thought, okay, you guys are street smart, you're going to learn. Mm-hmm. So I learned English literally by just talking to people. You know, the thing that really helped me the most was football. So with football, it allowed me to be sociable, you know, and, you know, if you're okay at football, you tend to become, you know, popular or gain some sort of friends. So football has helped me a lot in my social aspect of it. And to be honest, I just started learning it here, really. I didn't really watch TV or anything like that, but my mum did deprive us of speaking our mother tongue for some period.
Oh.
Just so we could learn English. And I think she was just on it. And I think every parent has a different style. And I guess it paid off. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you speak really well now.
It's subjective,
Of course it paid off.
Yeah.
So did changing your environment, like, affect you growing up? Like, did it did something stand out? Like, that you were like, if I didn't change my environment, I would have been okay?
Yes and no, because I never allowed my environment to define me. You know, that's something that we grew up on from young age, you know. So the good thing about growing from another country was you're already built in to be mentally strong. So I wasn't really fragile in terms of building friends or making any sort of decision on what I want to do in my life. You know, I was already self-aware and like I just had this mindset where no opinion is going to mold me or move me. So I've always been like that from day one, to be fair. But I think that stems from my family and the environment I was in initially. And then when I came to the UK, it's never impacted me. So I was never impacted by peer pressure. I was never impacted by anything of that nature. I was quite, you know, strong-willed. And I've been fortunate enough to still keep that characteristic with me to this day, to be honest. So it's hard because not a lot of people tend to have that kind of blessings. So I'm quite grateful in that sense. But I don't think many people would have maybe took some decisions that I did at the time. So
yeah. So what was like school growing up like? Did you go college? Did you go uni?
Yeah. So I went to all educations except uni. So I decided not to go uni for various of reasons. So school was pretty dope. You know, you have friends, you're enjoying yourself. Obviously, I was a troublemaker in school as well. So like every kid growing up, you know, especially being a boy, you're just hostile and just causing a manic. But in terms of education, I was fortunate enough to still learn, but I always had that tendency to get distracted. So I was always distracted, so I kind of knew education might not be for me, but I was fortunate enough to do well. But obviously, I went to college was fine, but that's when I realized, you know, I might not be able to do uni, you know, because I already knew the path I was going. I knew I'm not going to commit to it. I have this weird approach to life where I don't want to be in debt. So I didn't want to go to university and be in debt. So it was just, it's a lot of things that made me decide not to go. And, you know, there was a lot of back and forth with my family. But again, because the characteristic I had from a young age, where it's like, nah, I'm quite confident what I decide, even if it kind of goes against my family's wishes. And hopefully, since then, I had the motivation to try to prove them wrong, that you can do okay without education. I'm not encouraging people not to come out of education, but there's not always the only path to kind of do okay for yourself. And that's kind of the mission we're on right now, to be fair. Just kind of show the youngers, like, even if things don't go out right in school, don't ever feel like you're a failure in life or anything like that. You can still kick on at whatever age. It could be 20, it could be 30, it could be 40.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice message that you're like giving out to the world and helping the world understand.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you played football.
Yeah.
What age did you start, and did you play semi-pro under 14s?
Yeah, so I was playing football, well, I was playing for professional clubs. So prior to that, obviously, I learned football from a young age. I was quite good at it. So I didn't really have the passion to say I was going to become a footballer. I just enjoyed playing football, I'll be honest with you. And at some level, I was good at it. So, and I was fortunate enough when I came to this country, it helped me get scouted by teams. I was playing for Arsenal, I was playing for Fulham. I had a football agent. I was playing for England under 14. So there was a lot of things that, I had a lot of opportunity prior to that to make it. But I think the mistake that I made is I wasn't committed. And I think at that age, I didn't really take life seriously, to be fair. But again, I'm a firm believer that everything is meant to be for a reason. So, and that's what my faith kind of keeps my mind at, saying that I don't really stress out the fact that, oh, I could have made it, I was a footballer. Because I hear it to this day, like, oh, one day you could have been a footballer, you could have, you know, took us out of the ends, whatever they call it. But, you know, I always believe that whatever God's written for me is always the best plan. So I didn't really stress about it. But that's a bit of background of playing football. So I was at a professional level. I didn't sign my professional contract. It wasn't meant to be. And then I played at semi-pro till like 18, 19. And then I kind of just stopped football, really. Not that I lost the passion for it. It was just, I never had the motivation to play football. I just enjoyed it. It was just therapeutic for me. It was just like a place to kind of relax and just get my mind off things.
So do you feel like you stopped playing with Arsenal, for instance, because of your attitude towards it?
Yeah, because at the beginning, I used to be hot-headed. So I didn't really know how to deal with people. And it was more of like, and I think that kind of still, there's some part that stems from my childhood, and there's other thing that stems from my childhood that maybe it wasn't a good attribute. So, you know, so where I came from, it's like little things that we used to take it as an honor. So, but coming here, it wasn't really like that. It wasn't as deep as we used to think it. And that kind of got me in a lot of trouble. You know, it prevented me from some opportunities due to my attitude. But again, I don't regret it. It was a good lesson. I'm glad that I learned it at that age than now. But yeah, there was a lot of attitude problem. I just didn't really know how to deal with some things or some people at the time, which I believe I'm working on now anyway. So.
Do you feel like you're still working on that till today?
Yeah, because I feel like if you're not always thinking that you want to evolve and get better, you're just going to be stuck. So I'm not maybe working on that particular thing, but I'm still human. So you're always going to be working on something regardless. So it might be the same problem as when you was a kid. You could be stubborn, you could have anger issue. But if you feel like, yeah, you know what, I'll fix that problem, that you're kind of self-deluding yourself, thinking that, yeah, I'm patterned, but it's not really the case. You always need to improve.
Always.
So that's always been my mindset, that, you know, I don't really become competent in thinking I fixed that particular issue, because I know that issue can be triggered tomorrow. You know, so it's always I'm always a man in progress, and I'm happy that I can showcase that to the people and tell them that, look, we're all humans. No one's perfect. Don't let social media make you believe that, you know, you got your life together, because that's far from the truth.
Yeah.
So, and that's the kind of thing that we're kind of advocating with the brand as well.
I love that.
Trying.
I know, trying. And I think trying in this day and age as well is really important, because I think a lot of people, like you said, on social media, it looks like it's all glitz and glam, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't see that journey along the way. So can you tell us a little bit about when you got approached on Oxford Street for your modelling career?
It's crazy, got these questions. So yeah, I think in life you don't know what happens. And again, back to what I was saying earlier about you don't know what God has plans for you. So I had opportunities to do things that I never thought I would ever do or even think about it. And from where I grew up in North London, it would never really, would think it was a bit strange. But it was an opportunity that came in, and I was at an age where I was slowly becoming conscious of money. Was conscious even prior to that, but I was more conscious of, at that age where an opportunity comes, like, you know what, cool. Let's just see how it goes, But I still didn't allow my environment, back to your question earlier, determine what I want to do or what I want to decide. So I got approached to do some showcase of modeling. I took it on. I just thought, I'll do it for a laugh. I didn't take myself serious. I'm quite unserious in a lot of things, in a lot of situations. And it was an opportunity. It opened a lot of other opportunities that came from that, networking and just opening doors that I would have not put myself in personally. And it taught me about life. Don't ever allow the mindset of your community or the mindset of your environment dictate what you can do. And again, that goes back to when I was a kid. I already had that mindset of kind of being strong-willed, so I wasn't really hesitant to take the opportunity, even though I wasn't comfortable in it. But it doesn't mean I was hesitant. So I took that on, and that took a life of its own, to be honest.
So how many years did you do that for?
So I was in the modeling industry, to be fair, for a few years. I did high-profile shows like London Fashion Week and other brands as well. And I kind of, because my heart wasn't really in it, it was just more of just see how it goes, really. I just kind of pulled the socket at some stage at the time. So I think I was doing it for like 3 years, I believe. I could be wrong, 3-4 years. But I was in and out though.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
and what age was you then?
I think my last gig was probably 21, okay. 20.
So you started around 17?
Yeah, I was fairly young.
Yeah.
So I was fairly young in an industry where it's a young man's game, really, but I was still younger than some, and I was around the oldest, so it was quite interesting, actually.
How did it make you feel, just being approached on Oxford Street? It's a joke, it's a laugh, and then it's actually serious. It's something serious in your life for the next few years, you're like. Yeah,
I think it got a bit serious when I had a modeling agency and I signed with a contract, and it was more of, it was an actual job, and I was like, well, you're just walking, really. Like, why do people take it seriously? But it made me learn about you should never kind of undermine or look down on any job. So even though it's an industry that personally I don't feel like it requires any talent, it's just if they think whatever they think of you, that's what they decide, right? It's subjective. So, but it just kind of made me understand, any space that you fit into, you should take it serious. So yeah, that was a lot of learning though, because I was still like trying to figure it out, like, why am I here? Like, what the hell's going on? But I'm glad I took that experience, to be fair. It taught me a lot.
What issues did you face whilst in that environment?
I think you face a lot of internal, it could be racism. Mm-hmm. It could be that you're around a very artificial space. And I'm not from that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I grew up in the ends. So I grew up in a space where, everyone's honest with each other. No one really, we just say it how it is. And that's been all my life till that stage. So it was just like, I was just entering a space that I'm not used to, nor did my personality allow me to accept. So I never allowed my identity or my personality change based on the environment I was in. So whatever environment you took me, I was still by myself. I was still being me, really. But it taught me a lot in terms of how people perceive others, how people deal with each other's, and also just, and I'm glad I kind of learned at that age than now, because now I see what's happening in social media, and it's like, I felt like I was in that world, in the actual world.
You were actually in it.
Yeah, I was in it, and I just realized, nah, that's a facade, man. Like, this, I would never want to show anyone, like, if I have got a younger sister or my kids or anything like that, I would never want to teach them that, these are the examples that you should look at.
Yeah, 100%. How did it feel being at Fashion Week, seeing Kanye West, Amber Rose, Victoria Beckham? How did it feel for the first time?
To be fair, it was an interesting experience. But for me, it's just like these people. I don't know. For me, I didn't really care about these kind of people. Obviously, I know the status that they have in the world and their position and whatever it comes with it. But for me, I was just there to get my bag and go. Like, I was just there for the money, nothing else. I didn't really care for it. But as you're around that more often, it taught me about networking. It taught me about the type of networking you might have to do and how you interact with different people. So it taught me a lot, but at the initial stage, I didn't really take it serious. I'm like, yeah, cool, they're famous, but, you know, I don't really, it's not my world anyway. I'm not in that kind of environment. I was just here for one purpose.
And one purpose
Yeah,
only.
literally. So I was kind of focused on that part. I didn't allow that to distract me or kind of sway me away from why I was there initially. But it was an experience. I mean, they're lovely people, I guess. I wouldn't say they're on my contact list, but it was an experience. But it also taught me, you know, how to interact and how to network with different walks of life. That's one thing I would definitely take away from that fashion industry is about you don't know the kind of resources you come across and the type of people. So yeah.
So what was it like in the New York Tommy Hilfiger Fashion Week? What happened then and what did you take from the situation?
There was a lot of things behind the scene that I didn't know. So Tommy Hilfiger were interested, so I was going to sign into a big campaign. So it was more of a season campaign, which is kind of a big project, you know, in the fashion industry. So it's not just initially doing the New York Fashion Week. So they wanted me to be in New York Fashion Week as well. But it was more of like conversation about being one of the faces in New York Tommy Hilfiger. So, but the problem was I wasn't around. So there's a time where I was kind of going in and out of the modeling industry, but my modeling agency didn't really know too much of what was going on because I wasn't really communicating with them as much. So yeah, there was a lot of communication, and when the initial viewing came and audition, I wasn't really around. I went on holiday, and I think them times, I think it was Blackberry days? I can't remember. So it wasn't as if like now we're on our phone, you can see your email, whatever.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really checking my emails. And as I came back, I just got a dozen of calls like, where the hell are you? Like, where was you? And I was like, well, what happened? Well, Tommy Hilfiger were waiting for you. And that would have been my biggest paycheck in that industry, you know. For taking photos, yeah. But again, you know, I was fortunate enough to believe that, you know, whatever God's written for me will never miss me. So I didn't really lose sleep over it, I'll be real.
There might have been a reason, I guess.
Yeah, that might have made me just forget everything that I've been taught as a man and my personal belief in my religion. So I didn't really lose sweat over it. And the older I got, the wiser I've known that, you know, all this stuff happens for a reason. So in the beginning, it's like, oh, I took an L, but in reality, I was prevented from a bigger problem, to be honest. So it was cool. Like, it was all right.
But it had its time.
Yeah, it had its time. It's like, it's what ifs, innit?
Yeah.
And with me, my personality, I don't really care about what ifs. It's more of what can we do now. So I've always been looking at new ways to kind of like put myself in a different position.
If you don't mind me asking, how much did they pay you in your modelling career?
I would say, I'm not going to mention the figures, but it's around the 6-figure.
Really?
That would have been my biggest one. So I didn't take that, but that would have been my biggest one.
Wow.
But to be honest, the industry then was quite different to now. I think now with social media, I don't really know how they monetize it because a lot of people have personal brands. So a lot of people kind of get valued based on their personal brand potentially. Whereas before it was more of, if you're around that space, they kind of see your potential and what they kind of forecast. So I think at that time was more for models, but now I think it all depends on your personal brand. So it's case by case now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot changed. A lot's changed.
A lot has changed.
Yeah.
What was your final straw in your modelling career? When was you like, okay, this really isn't my passion, I need to leave and not just be chasing the bag on this one?
As crazy as it sounds, I'm not gonna lie to you, for me it was more of like seeing other men being so shallow about things that I wasn't accustomed to or was taught as a man. You know, so when I'm around men that are cautious about getting spots and everything of that nature, it's just like, well, that's life. And it's just like, you know, sometimes you can become a product of your environment. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to be around this because if I'm here for long enough, I might get influenced. Even though I'm not someone that can get peer pressured, but I'm human. You know what I mean? So sometimes you psychologically think, okay, cool, if they're thinking like this, I'm going to start being conscious about myself. And I'm like, as a man, I've never been like that. So, and I was never taught like that. So for me, I just said, it wasn't really a hard decision to walk out, to be fair, because I wasn't really into it anyway. You know what I mean? It was experience. It's something that I can maybe tell my kids and we can laugh about it. But apart from that, I didn't really care for it, I'll be real. It was a lovely experience though, but it's not something that I regretted walking away from. Compared to the football, because football I enjoyed it. But with the fashion, it was just more of, okay, cool. It was just more of money. I was a bit more money orientated, and it came with some opportunities and traveling and get to know people and doing things that I might have regretted now growing up, whereas, being partying, all this stuff. So I was out and about and just kind of being a whole bachelor, and that stuff don't really excite me now. But at that time, it was probably what I was around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the hardest thing to walk away from, especially with my religion. So as I got in touch with my religion at that time, it was kind of like the icing. So
On the cake.
Yeah, so that's what really triggered it. As soon as I kind of turned towards my religion a bit, it was like, okay, cool, now it makes sense. I don't know why I was even staying here.
So we're going to get more into Wonda Mix. What is Wonda Mix?
So Wonda Mix actually stands for wonderful mixes, right? So we just kind of shortened it. So wonderful, meaning the wonderful mix that we get. So all the fruits that we get around the world, as we always, highlight with our community and people that have been rocking with us from day one to now, we actually outsource all the ingredients and the fruits from different parts of the world. So some can be from Africa, some can be from Asia, some can be in, South America. So we kind of had it. So that's why we say we mix it up. It's not your normal kind of beverage that we're trying to tap into. So we're trying to create something that's different, that's going to hopefully stand out and kind of gravitate to people's attention.
Why did you decide to make your brand luxury?
Because I wanted to kind of show people from my area, you shouldn't let society and your community or anything of that nature kind of define you. So I'm kind of telling the youngers, or people my age, or people that are older than me, we don't have to always take the same route that we do. Even though it works, but I just want to kind of show, like, why can't we do that? Why can't we be in a space where we can encourage and start a luxury brand or a premium brand, also having that kind of community feel behind it. So I wouldn't say we're outlet, full out luxury, but we say we're premium, and kind of, it's to inspire the people, to start make people think big and have huge ambitions to start any product, whatever it is. We're trying to basically start from nothing to something, basically.
So how do you ensure that the quality of your products are always premium, that premium level?
Well, obviously we go through rigorous stages on how we try to keep that premium. So obviously the fruits and ingredients where we outsource them, the price that's for the ingredients as well, and the production side of it, the steps, and we focus on mainly just quality instead of quantity. So we're not in the numbers game right now. It's just about ensuring a quality product and getting the consumers and the community that's rocking with us, getting the best part of that product. So we're not looking at short term, and we just basically focus on quality. Everything's always been quality from our end, from the bottle design to the packaging to the baggage to the bags to whatever we give out. We always focus on the quality, and I think that's, for me, I'm passionate about that because I want to show the youngest they can do that or they can do better. So for me, our mission at Wonda Mix is bigger than us. That's why we say we're the 1% community or the 1% club, because that represents everything and everyone that's doing something for their life or someone that's trying to make something happen. It could be business, it could be whatever it might be. You don't even have to be business. You just need to have the characteristic to be in the 1% club. And that is how you want society to be. You want the world to be kind, so you need to be the 1% club. And that's the kind of message we want to push to our community.
That is such a beautiful message.
It's beautiful, but we want to kind of do it as well. So it's saying it one thing, but doing it is the hardest part. And that's where we're kind of pushing on right now.
So with your smoothies, can you please help me understand what makes them so unique?
The taste first. So
Okay.
The taste, because everyone can say that I can make smoothies at home, right? And we even had mum saying, I can do this at home. But once they try it, they realize, right, this is actually unique. And even when we compare, even when we did our market research, when we compare to other premium or other brands that do smoothies, we're up there. So, in the UK, I think the high end is like Joe the Juice or, other brands that are doing smoothies. We're still better than them. And it's subjective, obviously, but when a lot of people vouch for it, and with the quality of drinks that we use, we even get people that work in those companies and say, yo, this is different. So that kind of validates why we say we're premium and why we're different and why we're the best. And even if we compare it to higher end, even if I go to America, for example, there's a organic store called Air One, and they already have, I think, two. They got one in New York and LA, and they charge like $40 for a smoothie, right? They got like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian and all these people that kind of promote it. But when you compare their product to ours, we're still better. And this is a feedback from consumers, not just me. So when people are telling you this and they came like, oh, we have it in New York and this is way better, or LA and other people, it just kind of validates what we believe in and what we've been screaming from day one. So it's not just us saying it, but it's the people behind it. And that's why we're grateful for our community that's been rocking with us from day one.
So what inspired you to create such a unique recipe, and why was it important to do that?
So there's something I've never mentioned before, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of kids selling lemonade, right? When they're kids,
Yeah.
right? And they're trying to like, it's cute, right? So I'm trying to basically send them a message that lemonade story, you can do something out of it. So I'm kind of showing the youngest, look, I know you're doing lemonade when you're a kid or you're selling it in school or whatever. You can still do that, whether a beverage or whatever it is, because the fact that you're a child and you did that by yourself, or or the encouragement of your family, that you was able to stand and sell like £2 lemonade, you can do that. So I'm trying to be like the older version of them, saying, I'm just being the inner child. If they can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, they can do it, kind of thing. So that's really what it is. Like I said to you earlier, you know, our mission is bigger than us. And that's why it's even more harder, because it's not just, we don't want Wonder Mix to be successful, but we want it to be successful so we can show the younger kids that we're selling lemonade. If they continue it, they can make something out of nothing.
For you, like getting into Wonder Mix, how did you go from just having this idea to making it an actual brand, an actual space where you sell it, an actual product where we buy it?
So I kind of look at people that are into strategy. So I'm very into strategy. I like being innovative. I like to create things that people think like, why would you do that? Or how did you do that? I enjoy those kind of conversations more of, you know, let's do this to make money. Because money always comes sooner or later if you do it consistent enough, right? So for us, it was just more of, how can we make something that's quite unique? So we took inspiration from, you know, the Middle East, like Saudi, Dubai, etc., with our signature syrup design. But in terms of what we created, it was something that was in-house, and it started with myself, then my mum and my auntie. So it was a family business. It started from the council house. You know, we were doing it all over the UK. So, but once you get the reaction of the people, it just makes you feel like, okay, we're onto something here. You know,
Yeah.
it's one thing doing it, and the other thing is actually getting the validation of the people that you're trying to provide it for. So, but the actual inspiration came from the Middle East.
Okay. And how did we go from great responses, you know, people are liking it, you're like, okay, we've got something here, to it's in a bottle and we're selling it now?
Obviously, we did the initial stages of getting our family and friends to try it. Like, oh, what do you think of this drink? I was already confident in it anyway. I already had a plan in my head. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do this in 2 years' time. I'm going to do that in 3 years' time. I might do this in 4 or 5 years' time. So I already planted it in my head. So it was all about executing it. So I was like, okay, we've got the people's feedback from the community. Now let's sell it, and let's have a powerful message behind it, which lives up to it, and be consistent. And for us, even to this day, it was all about, I'm at a stage right now where we're just focused on the quality. So from day one to now, it's still the same protocol, just focus on quality. And then hopefully as we grow, we can still keep the same quality and hopefully scale it in the most appropriate space. So people want to scale it however they want to scale it, but for us, it has to make sense, and it has to be in the right strategy.
So you opened up your flagship store. Why the location?
Initially, as crazy as it sounds, I wanted to open a store in Housden. So Housden and Central London is two different areas. But I basically was going to make my first dish based on what most of our consumers and, you know, mixed lovers wear. So in our Northwest, everywhere in London, they've been showing us love. Northwest, you know, we were getting a lot of love at the time as well. So it was like, okay, this might be the most appropriate step. But I was like, I had a conversation with a couple of people, you know, and that's why it's important to kind of get advice from people that have more experience in life. And they said, look, why not Central London? And it was like, I wanted to do Central London, but I just thought maybe not now. So I was fortunate enough to get that opportunity to do it in Central London. And the reason being, we wanted it in Central London. I want to show people from my area and everyone that's from the same, background, ethnic minority, or you live in a council home and, you have an idea, but you just feel like it's too big for you, that you can do it. And the reason why we put that there is to send a message to everyone that's hustling, everyone that's got ideas, or everyone that wants to do something one day, or everyone that thinks, I want to do something that's out of the extraordinary, that you can do that. So the reason why I done it in Central London is just to kind of show people you can do it. And most importantly, inspire the people to think big. So if I did it in Central London, I hope someone else can do it better than me next time.
And it's a futuristic looking store as well.
Yeah, a lot of people think like, what the hell is this space when they walk past? But the reason why we even created that is because, we took inspiration from like Apple and, Rolls Royce. And it's like, how can we be the luxury of a beverage in that kind of same field? So we made it futuristic. The store is great. And, I believe in the human psychology that, sometimes the first thing that will gravitate you is what the eyes. So sometimes you might see something that's beautiful, and you'll be like, oh, that's really beautiful. And then the next thing is either, for example, if you want to go to a clothes store, you'll be like, oh, this looks really pretty. It's a pretty dress or a pretty shirt or jacket. The next thing you want to do is feel it, right? Mm-hmm. So everything had to make sense. So we made it beautiful enough for you to see. And the next thing was, okay, how can we get you to try the drink? And then be that next step. So clothes can be the feel of the material, the drink or food can be the taste or the texture of the food. But the first thing is always the initial eyes. So we were playing a bit of psychology with the store, to be fair. But that's a lot of things that people don't look into. So we were kind of like proper looking into every single detail of what we can do.
So what was your initial kind of vision for Wonder Mix?
The initial, that was part of the initial plan, to be honest.
Okay.
So as I said earlier, I had things in my head where year one, I'm going to do this. Year two, I'm going to do that. And every year, I just got something under my sleeve. And, me and my team will talk about what we can do, what we can strategize, because a lot of people focus on marketing nowadays, but I focus on branding. Even though branding and marketing kind of goes aligned, but I'm into the branding side because as I say, with marketing, it's like asking everyone on a date, but branding is the reason why you say yes. So for me, it's just like branding is long term. Once you get that branding right, you get the right people and you get the loyalty with your people and your community. Whereas marketing it's just a how, it's just now. It's very instant. It's like, okay, let's market it with this trend that's happening now on TikTok or that trend that's happening on Instagram. So it's just more instant, but for branding, it's always long term. So I've always kind of strategized what we're going to do every year or two. So that's the reason why we kind of focus on branding as well.
So why is it important to build a lounge then?
So the lounge is part of the branding and marketing strategy. So sometimes you need both of them to complement each other. So the lounge is just kind of to highlight, we want to tap into the luxury space, but also we kind of connected a lot of things into the store. So the store is it's not a food or drink, it's more of art. So the road that we actually have the store is an art gallery store road. So there's 2 or 3 art galleries in the same strip in Percy Street. So we're like, okay, how can we get the same inspiration or the theme of that road, what is known for, which is art, and how can we kind of tap into the drink and the lifestyle? So we kind of tapped into art, lifestyle, and the drink. So we kind of want to bring everything into one. And that's the reason why we made the lounge. So the lounge is more of an art piece, more than actual lounge. And it can be used for, obviously, when it's, brand deals. So we get a lot of brand deals that want to, use the space for hiring, etc. And that kind of brings our brand in the right space.
So you obviously use it for branding, you care about branding, you're working with big brands now. How did it feel when you first sold out, when you made your first appearance at the London Muslim Festival?
Oh, that was overwhelming because we didn't know what to expect. And with me, I like to do my homework. I like to study the game. I'm a huge student of the game. So when I study things, I study everything into it. I'm too detailed. I obsess over the idea. So the fact that it went very successful, it was a huge relief because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know the volume. We hear that there'll be 20,000 amount of consumers coming in, but we're also dealing with something that's very delicate, which is a drink that's quite perishable and it's freshly made. So the challenge of that is the shelf life. So it's like, how can we sell it and still keep the brand going? So it was a beautiful experience because the reception we had from that event really kind of gave us a new fuel to kind of be motivated, because it was a different space, it was a different audience, and it was really successful, man. And it definitely made me want to consider other places that we can, put our product in.
So how do you go about setting like realistic goals and targets?
So how we set, usually with me, I always told everyone in the team, let's not focus on instant gratification. So I'm not looking for quick wins. I am anti-quick wins, because that's going to kind of distract you from your objective. So we were like, okay, cool. In this quarter, this is what we need to do. Next quarter, we need to kind of do a follow-up of the first quarter or whatever it might be, right? So as I mentioned, strategy is very important and timing is very important. So everyone has a different approach to their business or their dreams and ambitions. But for me, it's like, I want to show people not to rush. And I also want to show people that you have to be patient in this game. So that's the reason why we kind of work around our approach.
So what are your main objectives?
So our main objective, and you kind of always stuck to the same ethos that we had, is obviously create brand awareness, always give back to the community, and also show the next generation what they can do. So these are the three objectives that I have want to mix. So they're separate, but it kind of goes all aligned, because once we focus on our community, it brings the brand awareness anyway, right? So whether we give back to our community, we do a seasonal, we send out holidays, and some people, to Islamic pilgrims in Ramadan. So these are things that we always want to kind of align Wonda mix. We want to be known as a brand that always gives back or tries to give back. And the other thing is also show, everyone that's aspiring what the follow-up is, what they can do to hustle, what they can do to, pursue their dreams and their hustle really. So there's a lot of things that we want to do, but these are the three things that I mainly focus on.
Do you feel like you have your objectives and sometimes your challenges might interfere with you sticking with them?
Yeah, challenges always gonna come. Like, that's part of the hustle. It's quitters never win, right? So so it's more of, it's always gonna be part of the role, it's part of the show. You have to adapt, you have to be flexible, you have to know sometimes when you can kind of leave that task and then focus on the other task. So, and over the years, we're touching in 4 years now, and I believe we've taken more losses than wins, but that has not stopped us from achieving our mission or trying to pursue what we need to do, because we feel like we've got such a long way to go. And, if just the first L's or the first challenges that we face and we quit, that's it, would have not even gone here. So we know there's going to be a lot of challenges. We embrace it now. So now we're in a mindset of, okay, cool, we embrace it. We don't enjoy it, but we just embrace it. Just deal with it as it comes, and just kind of work around it. But it doesn't really stop us from pushing on. And I'm grateful for my childhood for that, because it just kind of teaches you to be resilient. I'm a risk taker, as I believe. High risk, high reward, man. High risk, high reward. Having a store in central London with 5 flavors, I think that it's self-explanatory of how much of a risk it is with a store with that kind of space and that kind of, pressure. It just shows that, we could put all our eggs in one basket and just go handle with it, really. So, yeah, I always encourage people to take risks, because you never know what's going to happen. Whatever's meant to be, it's meant to be anyway. So,
how do you put trust in your process?
Well, with me, I always pray before I do anything. So I always pray before I make any decision. I always pray and consult with my team, and I don't really wait too long either. So I don't really stick around and be in doubt. Once I take the initial steps, I just kind of pursue it, and then if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, we just continue anyway, because we kind of expect that it might not work out, but it's really simple, really. I just pray on it and just get cracking, really.
So how has your business from 2020 expanded or changed since then to now?
In my humble opinion, it hasn't changed. I just feel like we're still at the same stage where there's milestones to celebrate, but I don't feel like we're anywhere near where I vision it to be, where I'd like it to be. So definitely people from the outside might feel like, right, now you've made a lot of improvement, But for me, that's just a small milestone to celebrate. But for me, what I want to tell the people that, we haven't made it just yet. We haven't achieved anything that we set out to do really. So
you're mentioning achievement. What are your 3 biggest achievements so far?
my 3 biggest achievements, I think the first, in not order actually, my achievements are firstly, kind of changing my mom's perspective of what business is. I kind of make her understand you can do something without going to university. And I think with a lot of people, especially having an African mother, it's hard to kind of change your mindset based on the culture that you grew up on, based on her thinking you have to do education. So just kind of open her mind to that, what, anything is possible has been a beautiful achievement. And the other one is basically having a flagship store in Central London. I think for me is a victory for my community that someone like them is trying to do something so someone else can come. So I'm just trying to break the door so someone else can walk in really. So that's my mission right now. And that's what I'm focused on. I'm not some people want to be influencers. I'm trying to be influential. Like I'm trying to influence our community to can make something happen. And the other thing really, I think for me, the achievement is just building that rapport with my community, people that are part of the Wonda Mix community, our customers, our mix lovers, we call them everything, the 1% Club. For me, it's just having that relationship where they are part of the brand. So for me, that's an achievement, even though somebody might not feel like it, but for me, just having that relationship for me is an achievement.
So what would you have done differently back then in 2020 now?
Nothing.
Really?
Absolutely nothing. Because, again, I'm a firm believer what God's written for me. So I don't even want to entertain the thought of what ifs. Like the fact that I'm fortunate enough to be here right now talking about this, that's the greatest. You know what I mean? My story is written by the greatest writer, so I don't really care about that. So I would have changed nothing at all.
So talking about change, you've got to do so many different things to get your brand to where it is as you care about your branding.
Yeah.
Where do you see Wonda Mix in 5 years?
I like it to be in a space where I always cheat my mind where I want it to be, but I want it to be in a space where it's established. So I want it to be, the Apple of the beverage game or the Rolls Royce of the beverage game. And that's probably not going to be achieved in 5 years. It might be sooner, it might be later, it might not be never. But that's how I envision it to be. How can a group of young guys from the council house come up with this idea and turn a product into the Rolls Royce or the Apple or the Tesla? So that's what I want it to be. And I want it to be in the right space. So when a young kid walks past that drink, it resonates with them and be like, he just done it from the house, and that's my vision.
So what are your 3 top selling smoothies?
I get asked this every day. We've got 5 flavors, so we started with 2. I've got 5, and I always say the same thing. And I want to say on the TV right now, is that ask which one my favorite child. So we've got 5 flavors, they're all popular, they're all the same quantity, and they all sell out. So it depends on my day really. So today I might feel like I want an original and a supreme and a bliss, and then the next day I might switch it up.
So what inspired your original smoothie?
The original actually came from a bit of the Middle East, in terms of the guava cake of it. And all the drinks we kind of got on the secret recipe. But because I love guava so much and I like mango, so for me it's like, okay, how can we mix that and incorporate our own mix? So in the Middle East, they've got black guava mango based drink, right? But it doesn't taste like ours. But a lot of people now, they're like, oh, Wonda Mix. It reminds me of that, of course, because that's what's in your mind. But in terms of ingredients and in terms of the taste, completely different. But that's where the initial inspiration came from.
So when obviously the brand itself, it stands out from every other brand. It's so unique. The bottle in itself, your shop, your store, it's just amazing. You said that you say you're better than most. How do you hold that position?
I hold that position based on, right now, that position can't be tested because we're still new, right? But based on what the people are saying and based on what we believe and what we know, that's the only way. It goes by what the people say. We follow what the people say. And at the end of the day, look, all of us can scream our product is the best, but if it's not backed by the people who are buying it, they're just false promises. So I believe the people that are supporting us, they're a testament of that. Especially when you get people that say, listen, I don't even like XY fruits. I don't like this fruit, but usually when I try a drink, it's different. Or people that don't like smoothies, they'll be like, oh my God, I love your drink. That itself is something that I don't feel like any other corporate company can testify to. I mean, when someone that says they don't like a particular beverage, but they try us and they change their whole perspective, I think that's something that money can't buy.
100%.
No.
So you recently introduced delivery. How has that helped your branding, your business, and sales?
To be fair, we've had delivery when we started. So when we started initially from the house, we were doing deliveries, and I was doing the deliveries by a car, literally my car, fat cooler, going around the whole UK, the whole London, and then going as far as, Sheffield and Manchester, but a lot of cities in the UK kind of were blessed to have Wonda Mix. As of now, currently, we're working on the connection side of the drink, so we can just kind of educate people what Wonda Mix is. Because right now we're in a different space. So we're in a space where the 10 million people in London don't know about Wonda Mix yet. And people that are part of the culture, they know about Wonda Mix, but majority of people, they still haven't been introduced to Wonda Mix. So we're at that stage where we want to notify what Wonda Mix is. And after that, we're going to kickstart that delivery. And I think that's going to be a lot of exciting announcement coming up.
And it sounds like it's going to be exciting.
Yes. And I don't know if you report the box. I showed you that. Yeah. I'm not going to say it to you much more.
Yeah. It does look amazing.
Yeah. So it's
very different. I've not really seen anything like
exactly. And that's what we want to do. We want to be different. That's what we want to be. We want to be different. I want to show people from the area, again, you don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to be what XY person is trying to be. You don't have to be pressured to be that person. That's what we keep saying. The 1% is basically being different from everyone else. In order to be exceptional, you got to be exception to the rule. And that's 1% club. So yeah, we're trying to be different. I'm not saying, sometimes we say we're the best, but I like to say we just want to be different.
Have any big brands approached you about Wonda Mix?
So many. We, especially since we, in the store recently, we get a lot of, huge market space that approach us because they like the store, and then once they try the drink, they're like, what's going on? Like, we need to make something happen. But for me, and I'm talking about places where a lot of people are rooting for us to go, but I could take the opportunity and just rush in and make a mistake. But for me, it's like, we're not ready for that yet, and that might be something that I might regret or I might be grateful for in the future. And this is why it's important not to rush in every opportunity that comes in, and not be deceived or, feel like someone can sell you a dream. So for me, it's more about, especially when you study the game, as I mentioned before, I love studying the game. So every space that we want to tap into, whether that's market share or seeing retailers or distributors, I want to study, I want to understand how they talk. I want to understand the language they're using. I want to understand how they're trying to negotiate with me before they come to me. So I already prepared that. So when they come in, I don't really get overwhelmed by it. So it's more of, for me, I believe we've got such a long way to go where in the future we can probably leverage that better than taking the opportunity now. So a lot of people are like, oh, I wonder, why don't you take it? Or why don't you take this brand, M&S coming or whatever? But it's like, it might look good for the ego and I can walk around saying, yeah, we'll put this product there, but it doesn't equate to success. I think sometimes people think success is aligned of who you're rubbing shoulders with, but there's a lot of things behind that doesn't make sense. So for me, it was more of, when the right time comes, it will come. So I wasn't really rushing, and I'm not going to rush, and I'm not going to fall into the pressure of people trying to rush me. Rome is not built in a day, but we're still laying brick by brick every day, though.
And do you feel like that time will come quite soon, or?
I mean, look, we can plan, but God probably has the best of planners, right? So I can try and be like, it could be tomorrow, it could be next year, it could be 5 years, but I'm willing to put that graft. I'm willing to be patient. I'm willing to, work as hard as everyone else. So even though I don't compete myself with anyone, I'm my own, competitor. So I look at myself, what can I do that I didn't do yesterday? And how can I go harder? How can I work smarter? How can I create this efficiently? Or how can I position ourselves in that space better? So I don't look at anyone else. I'm my own challenger at the end of the day. So there's a lot of things that we can do. and there's a lot of things that we will do, but I want to show the people that you should not rush in. Don't rush. Don't look for short-term gratification. I feel like that's the number one thing I have a debate with a lot of people that are even successful, by the way, that, you know, they're established, they're credible to be having this kind of conversation. It's like, well, I don't want instant gratification, because instant gratification for me is what I would have done when I'm in the area. I can go on the streets, someone will show me a bit of cash, I can start selling drugs. That's just instant gratification, really. I'm trying to show like everyone from my area, look, if you fall into that trap of instant gratification, anything that's temptation or anything that's tempting, you're gonna fall into it. So, like I said, I keep saying the message is bigger than me, and when I say it, I really mean it. I'm willing to sacrifice my life for it. I'm willing to sacrifice my time and my family for this, because I want the youngest tomorrow saying, you know what, Wonda done something, even though it took him longer, but it was worth it, you know, and he's got something to show for it. And if it doesn't, the next person can come and he can show something for it. So that's why I'm proper anti-gratification. Like, I don't like instant gratification. I've never liked it. And at this stage in my life, I don't want to show anyone what instant gratification is. We all like instant gratification in some way or another, but I'm not going to be an advocate for quick wins, because quick wins is what makes you're going to fall off easily. You're going to fail. Whatever you want to do, you're going to be disappointed. Now you're going to be demoralized. You're going to be disheartened. Now you're going to fall into stress, depression, because you were seeking that drug that's instant gratification. And I'm not on that. You know, I'm trying to tell myself about longevity. I want to tell the others about being patient in the long game. And everyone that's been patient in the long game, you know, hopefully they saw the fruits of their labor. No pun intended, because we sell fruits here. But yeah, that's the message I want to send out to everyone, really.
And you're growing your following like every day on different platforms of social media. Do you feel like social media shows your message?
Yes and no, because there's a lot of areas that we need to improve on how we can convey our message, right? But because we've got a small community, but we've got a very strong community. So I don't really equate the followers that we have to success, because sometimes people have high followers and they don't have great engagement. But because we've got an amazing engagement and an amazing 1% community, that, you know, sometimes our message does get across to the right people. And, you know, in life, look, if you want to change the world first, you've got to change yourself, and then you've got to change your inner circle. And that's how we're taking that approach. So with social media, sometimes people can misunderstand, misconstrue some information, or it might not convey properly. That's why we kind of rather show action before just making content. And again, these are a lot of the approach that we took to this time where we're not even focused on social media as much. But now, obviously, we're going to try and kick on and actually show people what we're doing.
And how do you convert your followers on, like, let's say Instagram to being customers then?
So in terms of conversion, it all depends, right? So we have our conversion rate from social media is quite high, but even then, I prefer word of mouth, because we've got a stronger community because of word of mouth. We get people that don't have social media and be like, I've heard of Wonda Mix. And to be honest, that's the people I want to focus on. Because social media can be hype, it can be a facade, right? It can be beneficial, but it doesn't mean that's going to be the only tool or the only space that you need to tap into. Like, sometimes you'd be surprised how much powerful word of mouth is, and I think we forget that because of how fast social media is with TikTok, where everyone wants to be viral the next day, and, you know, everyone's looking for that followers. For us, you know, me and my team, I always kind of drill in to myself and the team that don't look at the social media, build a strong foundation with the people that are supporting you, and that's going to flourish. You know, if you if you water that flower, trust me, man, soon you have a forest.
Honestly, it will bloom.
Yeah, it will bloom, but social media is like it's a facade. Like, even one of our messages when we told the youngest, like, don't listen to social media, just listen to your mum. You know what I mean? Because we understand, like, I understand what social media does to people. You know, I've seen it. You know, I've seen it. And sometimes people want to fall into that, where now they want to become influencers and they kind of forget their message. Whereas us, we just want to be influential. So being influential, you have to be influential in that small community that you're trying to grow. And once they start growing, trust me, word of mouth can't beat social media. It's controversial what I'm saying, but I've seen it. I've seen the fruits of word of mouth. So social media is cool. It does the job, but word of mouth is powerful tool, and I think that's a science that a lot of people have forgotten, and a lot of successful brands stem from word of mouth.
So for those who are trying to start, like let's say I'm young, because you want to inspire young people, how do I even start?
When you start thinking about how do I do X, Y, and Z is when you start getting into procrastination. I just think the first step is just to do one task at a time. So that task can be, I don't know, if someone's into fashion, right? Just get the name. Sometimes I feel like just start with the name, because that name will bring that excitement in you to want to do the next task. So always tap into a task that's going to get you excited about the next thing, right? So when you have a name, you've got, I've got this business idea. It's going to be called X, Y, and Z. And now you're like, okay, I'm going to build my base around that name. So don't do 10 tasks at once. Just do one. And that one task is going to open a task for you. It's going to open 2 tasks, and there'll be 3 tasks. So it's just like a game. It's like a game that you need to play with it. And slowly, as time goes, you just grow. And you're just going to come up with so many crazy ideas because of the name. So just do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't take long. Pray on it. Do it. If it fails, it fails. If it works, it works. Either way, you're going to learn something from it.
And how do you feel like you've learned from all the mistakes, the sacrifices, and everything with Wonda Mix?
Well, I wouldn't say I've learned, because I'm still learning. So every day I'm learning something new. Every day there's a new challenge. Every day there might be the same problem, but I need to have a different solution. Even though I fixed that problem, but I need to come with 3 solutions. So I've got contingency plan where I can have 3 different solutions for one problem, and then I can focus on this. So we're always going to be learning. I think I would never stop learning till we die, really. So I don't know how to answer that, but to be honest, we're learning every single day. And I'm not saying we're the master at this game. We're just willing to learn. We're willing to be patient. We're willing to grind. We're willing to, learn from others as well. I feel like sometimes people forget that skill where you have to humble yourself to learn from others. And, we're in a great space where we're learning that, because we want to learn so we can share that information with others. You know what I mean? And that's why we're in central London as well. So we want to get that network and that people and that knowledge so we can spread it to people in my community. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't have that reach. Whereas now I've got, okay, this person I can connect to with X, Y, and Z. And for us, that's where we kind of become grateful what we're doing. And that's part of our ethos, brand awareness, but also the community. So that's that's our mission right now.
So what inspired your logo?
So my logo, the actual meaning behind it is I want it to represent people, because I'm Muslim by faith. So, and obviously the media outlet that, they have this weird taboo of what Muslim men are. And we kind of want to take that misconception out. So we want to create a positive role model example. So the way we designed it represents anyone that has a beard. You don't have to be Muslim, but anyone that's somewhat a father figure or a role model or an uncle or older brother to anyone, to kind of represent what that product is. So that logo kind of, we just want to show that a decent Muslim example. And there is a reason why we hid the face, because that beard can represent anyone. So it can represent anyone that's a male figure, to show people that, look, there are examples that you can start a business with. And obviously there's other established brands that did well, that's outside of my reasoning, but like KFC or, Foot Locker, they have faces as well. So there's a lot of factors, but one of the main things is just to kind of show any father figure can be Wonda Mix. So it doesn't connect to me only, it connects to the whole community.
And lastly, before we finish up, I just want to know something about you that nobody else knows.
Thing that no one else knows about me. I'm quite transparent, to be fair. So I'm quite transparent. So people know me for who I am, but at the same time, there's a lot of things people don't know, but I don't know what they don't know. I don't know, Maybe I have that same fear that everyone else has when they want to do something. I think sometimes people forget that, we all suffer that level of anxiety and fear that this might not work. And obviously, I don't express that with anyone. I don't express my fears to people, but I do too have that same fear that everyone else. So the same person that wants to start a business, that fear that you're having, I have that fear every single day. And I have that fear more than you because I'm doing it. So every challenge, I'm scared of it, but I still embrace it, but that fear is still there. So that's something that I guess, you know, with business, you always have that fear, but it doesn't mean I'm scared to not take that challenge though. I'm scared initially, but I'll still do it.
You'll still take that challenge?
Yeah, I'll still take it on.
So thank you for coming down and sharing all your knowledge with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's literally been
Thank
amazing.
you for having me.
And thank you for coming, honestly,
Appreciate
Wonda.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. So can you tell us your socials, where to find you and whereabouts you are based?
Cool. So all of our social media is the same handle. So it's Wonda Mix with so WONDAMIX, and you can find us in central London, 2 Percy Street, Fitzrovia, W1T1DD. So that's next to Tottenham Court Road. So you can catch us there. And yeah, we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up as well for the kids as well, so stay tuned.
That was the Critters Never Win show. I'm Mina Simone, and please like, comment, subscribe, and tell us who you want to see next. Dreams of a million keep going. I know that grind slow, keep going.